CBS News Chief White House correspondent Major Garrett joins us now. Major, this administration has talked tough to the North before, and that has not stopped them from continuing to test nukes and missiles. Is the White House feeling the pressure to act differently this time around?
Well, the White House is clearly feeling the pressure to act. And what that action will be, we still do not know. But let's take seriously what happened here at the White House yesterday. The Defense Secretary James Mattis came to the White House to brief the President of the United States on every available military option with North Korea, every single one of them. A few hours later, the White House released a statement from the President of the United States saying he had all assets at his disposal, and it went to a place that most American presidents have not in the nuclear age, specifying in black and white the U.S. nuclear arsenal was among the assets the American president had at his disposal. Historically, in the nuclear age, American presidents don't put that in black and white on an official statement from the president because everyone knows the president has a nuclear arsenal at his disposal. To put that out in the context of the conversations at the White House and military options dealing with North Korea tells you that it's not just rhetoric that is ramping up. It is pre-planning for the potential use of some of the most lethal weapons in the United States arsenal. I'm not predicting that. I'm not saying war is close, but it is clear that these two countries are on a collision course, and absent some dramatic change in the calculus of North Korea or China or some of the others who deal regularly with North Korea, but China most especially, these two nations, meaning the North Koreans and the United States, are on a collision course, either for a conventional war on the Korean Peninsula or something much, much worse. Those things have to be understood as real possibilities, because the rhetoric and then the preparation that lies behind that rhetoric is becoming clearer and clearer and more dangerous each and every passing week.
Okay, well, you mentioned China. How is the White House working with the South Korean government in the wake of this recent nuclear test?
Well, there was an important telephone conversation today between South Korea's President Moon Jae-in and President Trump, and a couple of things were agreed upon that had been in process for several months. A little bit of background here. There is a treaty with the United States and South Korea, dates back many decades, limiting the payload of the warheads on South Korean missiles. That was allowed to expand. The South Korean president had been asking for that for a while, to give it more offensive and defensive capabilities in relationship to North Korea. That's now been agreed upon. And in concept, the president, meaning President Trump, agreed that the South Koreans will be able to purchase billions more in U.S. arms. That's all about collaboration and cohesion on questions of defensive posture but offensive capabilities against North Korea. Again, another signal that the principal players, South Korea, the United States, and North Korea, keep moving toward each other in a more hostilely prepared positioning. That doesn't mean war is inevitable, but it does mean, and I think people need to understand this, that all the actions are moving in that direction, and absent a tremendous amount of creative diplomacy or reaction to new and never tried before economic pressures, that collision course will continue to bring those countries closer to conflict.
Well, let's talk about the possibility for diplomacy. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley said the North is, quote, begging for war, unquote, with these actions, Major. And as you've laid out, there are military options on the table. Any sense whether the White House is leaning one way or the other, toward a military solution or toward creative diplomacy, if you will?
Well, certainly this White House and Secretary Mattis at the Pentagon, Secretary Tillerson of the State Department, Secretary Mnuchin of the Treasury Department want to use all of those tools however they can. And the next thing to watch will be whether the Treasury Department, with President Trump's okay, sanctions large Chinese state-owned businesses or banks that regularly do business with North Korea, limiting their access to U.S. capital or global capital, or cutting off trade with key sectors of the Chinese economy. Those are kinds of economic pressures that have been discussed, batted around as potential options, theoretically imagined as possibly being really helpful in this context, but never actually used. Well, I think it's worth pointing out that the available economic and diplomatic options are growing fewer each and every passing week as North Korea continues to test either its intercontinental ballistic missiles or its hydrogen bombs or something along those lines. The fact that the number of economic and diplomatic options is diminishing doesn't mean it's hopeless, but new things that are much more confrontational in terms of economic pressure are going to be imagined and possibly triggered in ways they haven't been before to bring this to a resolution that's short of conflict.
Major Garrett reporting from the White House. Major, thank you.